This is the New York City FC Pregame Live. Tonight, New York City FC looks for back-to-back wins against FC Dallas. And now, here are your hosts, Glenn Crooks and Matty Lawrence.
It's true. I'm Glenn Crooks. There's Matty Lawrence. New York City FC playing host to FC Dallas at Citi Field tonight. Queens, New York. Rain is in the air. About a 75% chance of rain tonight, Matty. That's what's called for, but we can get a look at the field. Let's add the field to the stream here, and there is Citi Field. When we were on the air last week, here, make your mic right here. Jeez. How long have you been broadcasting? Anyway. But remember all the blue sky in the background, yep. But now it's all these dark clouds, and so we're not sure if it will have an impact on the game tonight. Not. New York City 3-2-3. They're in fifth position in the Eastern Conference of MLS. Meanwhile, Dallas, 4 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws. They only have 1 loss in their last 7 games, and that was at LAFC, and they're in 4th place in the Western Conference. And we're awaiting the starting lineups, and curious as to James Sands and Jesus Ferreira. The curiosity stems from the fact that they both played last weekend for their clubs, and then on Wednesday, midweek in Phoenix, they both put in a full shift against Mexico for the U.S. men's national team. Ferreira indeed scoring the leveling goal in the 81st minute.
Look, they're both very young men. There's no reason why they can't play 3 games in 8 days, but we don't know whether they will have picked up knocks. We don't know how many high-intensity sprints that they've been through or undertaken throughout the last 3 games. I would be very surprised if they didn't play. I think you want your best players on the pitch throughout the season. And look, we're early on in the season. Yes, I do understand resting players, but I would assume players of the ilk of Ferreira or of Sands will only be rested, Glenn, if they have picked up knocks or a little niggle that we may or may not have seen when the US played against Mexico. Look, we know it's a tough travel for FC Dallas. We know that predominantly away teams don't travel well. They don't play well away from home. FC Dallas have only played 3 games away from home this season. 1-1 drawn, 1 lost 1, scored 3, conceded 3. So they're doing okay on the road, but certainly they're not pulling up any trees. And, you know, on the flip side, NYCFC are absolutely fantastic at home. And I would expect them to carry it on, Glenn, because they have to, because they have a 4 game away streak coming up. Toronto, Charlotte, New York Red Bulls, Orlando, and NYCFC only have 2 points from the 12 away from home. They need to make sure that home games count.
I'm looking closely as the Dallas lineup has been released, and Jesus Ferreira will not be in the 11, and he is on the bench. So I think if you look at and Nico Estevez, the head coach, alluded to it a little bit, that if you compare Ferreira to Sands in terms of GPS, acceleration miles, and things like that, you look at the course of the game, and a guy like Ferreira is going to probably have to put in, I would say certainly is putting in more work than Sands at the holding mid, and then moving into the middle of a back 3, where he just didn't have to do that much running around, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, even with the GPS tracking, I still think that a player of the 10 degree Jesus Ferreira, I still think that he can manage to play 3 games in 8 days. I get the sports science. I get that it will be a relatively compact season in MLS this year, certainly with the Leagues Cup coming into play as well. I do understand it. If I'm Jesus Ferreira as well, I know full well that he as a player wants to play today. And I would be absolutely flabbergasted if things are going against FC Dallas or they're drawing and we don't see Ferreira for at least 30 to 45 minutes. I'd be stunned.
Sands is in and is the captain, so it's official. James Sands will get the nod today. At Thursday's practice, when I have a chance to talk to Nick Cushing, part of our pregame show, I asked him about Sand's performance with the U.S. men.
Yeah, I think James is at his best when he gets the ability to dictate the game, and I think naturally the rivalry means that the game was a little bit. I stayed up and watched the game, and the rivalry means the game was a little bit messy. I think in those derby games you don't get so much play in the first parts of the game, and then I thought Mexico had probably the momentum in the game with the ball, and I thought it was a great decision from the coach to go 3 in the back, because when you drop a guy like James in and Sean gives it to James, he can start to dictate the game from behind the line instead of dictating it from the midfield. He just dictates it from behind the line of the strikers, but he's good enough to be able to play between 2 lines and be able to find free players, and I thought you really saw his quality when they changed the system.
So I thought that was an interesting comment from Nick Cushing. He showed his quality when he moved into the back because of the way the game was played against Mexico.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think we know that James can dictate the tempo of the game from the 6th position, from a right-sided centre-half, from a central centre-half, or probably even from a number 8 position as well. Look, Sands is a quality player. Not surprised to see him playing again. Like I said with Friday, though, like young kids, they predominantly are. They want to play games of football, and James Sands would have been desperate to play today. And equally, though, Glenn, Nick Cushing would have been desperate to have James Sands in the side. We've seen the difference in the team in NYCFC when Sands is playing or when he isn't playing.
We got to do a better job of keeping it in the screen. But I'm looking over here. The lineup is to my left. Sorry, that's why I'm coming out of screen. Ilinic back at right back.
Yeah.
But there you see the 11. And on the substitutes bench, just trying to see if there's anything shocking there. No, pretty standard. The bench. Matt Freeze is the reserve goalkeeper. We saw Luis Barraza hurt his shoulder last week, so I was kind of anxious on Thursday to just see him training. He went at it, 100% full, going down for things. And so whatever may have happened to him, it has been solved. So last week's game, 2-1 at New York City, right here at Citi Field, where they have a 3-0-3 mark in regular season play in games they've played at Citi Field. So they remain unbeaten here. And it was 2 interesting goals in the first half from gentlemen that you don't see scoring frequently. The first was Keith Parks.
Magno finds himself all the way on the opposite side of the pitch. Now he's deep in the corner, doubled there, and he works his way out of it with a sole of the foot move. Here's a header and a goal! Ilinic with the service, and Parks hammers it home! And New York City in the 11th minute take the 1-0 lead. It was Tylus Magno working some magic on the opposite side of the pitch. Ilinic there, receiving the favor from Magno, and then a wonderful bending service. Parks rises in a well-timed manner to head it home for New York City. And Parks puts the ball underneath his shirt. He has a baby on the way, expected in July.
Very nice for Keaton Parks. And Parks has 3 goals in the last 2 years, 11 for his career. And I want to play Nick Cushing talking about Keaton Parks, because it gives you an idea of what kind of production he would like from Parks this season.
The Keaton Parks goal is one that we've been demanding from him. I hear the term a lot about box-to-box midfield players, and he definitely is a box-to-box midfield player, or he has the potential to be, because of his physical capabilities and because of his technical capabilities. He can get in our box and defend crosses and defend well, but he also has to then have the physical ability to get in the opposition's box because he's technically good enough to score with his head and with his feet. But he also has only played 2 half seasons in the last 2 years, so there's a little bit of patience in him building the endurance and the physical capabilities to get in each box. But he's definitely doing that. I've been really pleased with his progression.
That goal was Lampard-esque, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he has that. If you look at his goals, we actually, because we haven't had seen so much of Keaton in real excellent condition, because he didn't finish the season in 2021 and then he didn't get chance to really get a run of games when he came back last year. We went back and watched his games in 2019 and the start of 2021, and that was his best attribute, arriving in the box and scoring goals, whether it be with his feet or with his head. And we have to get back to that, because we're going to have to, if we look at previous years, we're going to have to score 57, 58, 59 goals if we want to be in the top 4. That's what the trend says. And if we look at where we're going to mix those goals, if we can get 8 goals, 10 goals out of Keaton Parks, that really gives us a chance to maybe get above that and push into the higher positions.
So there's expectation based on what the staff has seen from Keaton Parks, his potential, I guess you would say, based on things that they've observed in the past and what have finished last week. I followed that up by saying, well, even if Parks gets 8 to 10, you need to get a few more goals from your forward line if indeed you want to reach that plateau of 57, 58 goals.
Yeah, look, I think the way NYCFC are as a squad right now, the goals are going to be spread around. We need Chanot to score the odd 1, 2, 3. We need Martins to score the odd 1, 2, 3. We need Parks to score 5, 6. Sands has to chip in with goals. There's no Tati Castellanos here to provide 15 to 20 goals. There's no Maxi Morales to provide 12 to 15, possibly 20 assists either. I know we hope Santi Rodriguez can do similar, but we don't know that for certain, that's for sure. For me, it's all about the production being spread all around the team. Look, Keaton Parks, we know he has that ability. We know that. We've known that for years. I think it's about Keaton Parks himself having the belief that he can do that. I think we can all talk about it as much as we want. Keaton Parks is wonderfully talented, probably should be in the US men's national team, but also the player himself has to have the belief that he can hit the penalty area at the right times and finish as he did last week against National. We know he's got that ability, but scoring 3 goals in 2 years, even whether you've been injured for large swathes of it, that's still not good enough for a player who's really kind of a 6, but more often than not an 8. You've got to be getting 5 to 10 goals as a central midfielder.
And I have to say, I stole the Lampard-esque from Matty Lawrence, his commentary. If you were listening last week, he filled that in. And indeed it was. Lampard with the delayed runs out of the midfield, all-time leading scorer for Chelsea, and he's a midfielder?
Absolutely. Look, the more I watched that, though, Keaton Parks almost just sauntered into the penalty area. I was just highlighting it when we were off screen then. Fafa Pico just lets Keaton Parks walk, then jog into the penalty area. And the poor old right back is then left trying to come across, isn't he? Shaq Moore's then trying to cover across. There has to be the communication from Fafa Pico. Look, I'm a little bit lazy. I'm not following Keaton Parks into the box. Can you please pick him up?
But that walking,
sometimes walking.
Brian Robson had a great one-on-one with him at the convention. And I asked him about, he scored 99 goals out of the midfield. And he said one of my most important qualities was walking. Yeah. And just waiting for the moment that the defender turns his head and
switches off, turns his head, doesn't focus.
Boom, in the area. Thank you very much. 1-0. And that's what it was for New York City. 1-0 after the Parks goal in the 11th minute. And then a real unexpected tally not long thereafter, 14 minutes later, you had this, and then you have the description after Maxime Chanot scores that he wasn't even the intended target.
The Keaton Parks goal is one that we've been demanding from him. You know, I hear the term a lot about.
All right, I think that I may not have the Chanot. No, here it is. Ready? Here we go.
It's Ledesma more on the ball with Pereira about 10 yards up the pitch. Here's the curling out swinger. First time shot is a goal, and it's Maxime Chanot. He side-footed it in. How about that 5th career goal for Chanot? And it gives New York City the 2-0 lead. Ledesma is all smiles, as are all of Chanot's teammates. I'm sure they're looking at it as a remarkable achievement as Maxime Chanot. Full volley, first goal of the season, and New York City, 25 minutes in, they lead Nashville 2-0.
So I was pleased with that one. It actually was set up for Brian Couffret, and Maxime was blocking, and then somehow he adjusts his body, and it's perfect for Brian, but Maxime volleys it, and the goal was a great finish. There was one in the second half where it actually is set up for Brian, and he should do better.
No, yeah, it was supposed to be to Brian, and you know, we worked at it in training. You know, even if it doesn't get there, it'll fall there to anyone who's there. And initially, Brian was open, so maybe if he would have let it go, Brian would have had a chance, an opportunity for a goal. But like you said, I mean, I'm glad it got to Shana. He scored a great goal.
You had a massive smile on your face, and I'm sure you were just happy for the goal, but it seemed like even it had another dimension to it or something.
I was smiling because I told Brian that was for him, and that out of nowhere we just scored. He was like, "Don't worry about it," like we were just laughing on the field, so that's why I was laughing and smiling so much.
Hi, Richie Ledesma. He was named man of the match by New York City FC and gets the assist there. That's his first goal contribution. And so that was Ledesma describing what they trained. And I'm really amazed, fascinated, but you have to give so much credit to Rob Vertughian. That has been a staple corner kick play for New York City FC. That is the outside back sneaking in, or someone sneaking in. It was Anton Tinnerholm when he was here, and now Koufré twice, yet he's still wide open. How could this be a surprise? But it must be the way they're blocking players, and there's something going on, man.
Nobody's blocking for Koufré, though, because there's all the bodies inside the 6-yard box.
Parks made a hard run to the front post. He drew players there.
Drawing players,
yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Yes, look, Rob Vertughian deserves a lot of credit. We know how hard he works on attacking and defensive corners and set pieces, but you also have to think how switched off you must be to let somebody just, as you said, Brian Robson, somebody's just walking, sauntering from 20 yards from the goal line into the penalty area. And granted, if it's delivered a little bit higher or a little bit wider, Chanot can't volley it in, and it bounces into Koufré. Look, it's a harder effort for Koufré because it's bouncing as it comes to him. It's skipping off the surface. As it was, Chanot meets it on the volley. Look, it's a terrific finish.
No,
but you also have to give Ledesma the credit because it's played with pace and it's curling away from the goalkeeper. There's no way the goalkeeper can attack it.
Right.
And also with that much pace as well, it's hard to deal with that as a defender too.
I think it's something we
learned. It's all about the quality, isn't it, of Ledesma?
And we learned something about Ledesma through training, and then now what we've seen in the game is he can deliver a set piece as well, so that adds to his value. Ledesma, I sat down with him, a 15-minute conversation, which you can listen to on Apple Podcasts. The podcast on Frame is our one-on-one, and so it's on my Twitter at Glenn Crooks. Go check it out. Now, here's one thing he talks about, because we suspected that Ledesma and Santi Rodriguez on the field at the same time. What Nick Cushing has done during the course of the season since Ledesma's arrival is he's come in as reserve prior to last game, and when he and Rodriguez are on the field, Rodriguez moves into a false 9. So that will be the case tonight for the first time at the start of the match. And I asked Ledesma about the false 9.
Have you ever played in that sort of shape or system before? And I suppose this is something that you'd like to rapidly make happen successfully, is that you and Santi getting together.
No, I mean, me and Santi get along on the pitch, even outside the pitch. And I feel like, we have good chemistry. So I feel like if the coach makes that decision to make that decision to play with the false 9, I mean, I wouldn't mind at all to play with Santi. He's a great player, amazing with his feet. Technically, he's there. And yeah, for me, it's an opportunity to get assists and goals from him. So at the end of the day, I have played a false 9 before myself, so I'm pretty used to it. And if he puts me there, I don't mind going there either. So at the end of the day, if he can figure out to put us together, I mean, it's great for both of us and for the team.
So he played a false 9 a lot with PSV2, the reserve team. Yep. You know who his coach is there?
Who is his coach there?
Ruud van Nistelrooy was his coach. How about that? So we learned that today. So you gotta listen to the podcast on Frame with Richie Ledesma. But final thought, Matty, with Alice coming in, they're going to have to deal with something different.
Yeah, they are. Look, I don't like the false 9. I think Barcelona and Man City have got away with it in the last couple of decades. But look, NYCFC, with all due respect, our Manchester City or Barcelona, I think with that lack of height up front and that lack of ability to hold the ball, I think it makes it really hard for defenders when you just need that out ball. You can't always pick a pass. You just need that out ball chipped into the centre circle. You want somebody to hold it up with their chest or flick it on. That's not going to happen with Ledesma or Rodriguez. That's my one true worry with this formation, with this system.
All right, New York City, they're unbeaten in their last 6 against Dallas. This is just the 8th game of the series. The only Dallas victory came in New York City's inaugural year, 2015. Last year at Toyota Stadium, New York City with a 1-0 win, ever with the goal. He won't be able to score it for New York City here today, but he's going to get his opportunity again with Seattle with Raul Ruiz down. All right, we've got a lot to talk about with the commentary. It starts, though, with the Nick Cushing pregame show presented by Ford coming up at 7:15 on the New York City FC Network, nycfc.com/radio. And also today, if you're watching on Apple TV, and it is free today on Apple TV, go to the drop down so you get your so you get to listen to Matty. You know, I'll add some things, but Matty's the guy you want to hear. All right, Matty, good stuff. All right, talk to you soon. Enjoy the game, everybody.